I'm Ashton Addison from Event Chain for Investment Pitch Media and FinTech News Network. And today on Blockchain Interviews, we have Beniamin Mincu, the CEO of Elrond. Beniamin, welcome to the show. It's a pleasure to have you on today.
Great to be here, sure.
I'd love to learn a little bit more about Elrond to start. First of all, in your words, what is the purpose and vision of the Elrond project and blockchain?
Sure. So Elrond is a new blockchain architecture designed from scratch to bring a 1000x improvement compared to Bitcoin or Ethereum, especially in throughput and execution speed. And you can think of it like bringing broadband speed to a dial-up world. And what this means in practice is that while in Ethereum, in Bitcoin, you can only process something like 7 transactions per second. And in Ethereum, you can process 15 transactions per second. In Elrond, you can process right now upwards of 10,000 transactions per second with a 5 seconds latency, which I think is a huge improvement for the blockchain space.
Very interesting. Now, with that said, you would say that Elrond is like a direct competitor to Ethereum, or is it in other ways the same, or is there other unique value propositions besides being more scalable?
Sure. I think there are some very specific and unique value propositions, and you can think of it like this. Bitcoin has been the first iteration of blockchain where essentially you discovered that this technology can work and that you can do transfer of value without the need for a trusted third party. Ethereum was the second major iteration, which has introduced a new scripting language through smart contracts, through which you can build decentralized applications on the blockchain. What Elrond does is it takes these innovations, rebuilds everything from scratch in order to bring a 1000x improvement in performance, such that you can finally use this technology in real life. So up until this point, we had some very, very fascinating pieces of technology, but they were sort of like toys, interesting toys, right? But still toys. So what we do is we rebuild everything from scratch in order to be able to use this in the real world. And we see an extreme demand for this. And whenever some company can see or test our architecture, there you can actually see the light in their eyes.
Interesting. Now, can you talk a little bit more about the scalability and how your team achieved that amount?
Sure. The idea here is basically that we have introduced a new mechanism called adaptive state sharding, which means that you essentially split the network into smaller networks such that you can parallelize transaction processing. Mm-hmm. And what this means is that instead of processing transactions sequentially, you now have several networks that process transactions in parallel and put them in a higher meta chain. So this means that our network can grow with each new shard that joins the network or is formed within the network, so that you can start with a 10,000 transaction processing capacity per second, but then you can in the future exceed 50 or 100,000 transactions per second, just because your number or processing capacity is dependent on the number of shards that exist in the network. Mm-hmm. Now, I would highlight that in addition to this, we've also introduced another key element that is very, very important for a highly scalable architecture, and this is a secure proof of stake consensus algorithm. Mm-hmm. And this algorithm can be understood in the following way. If you have a platform that scales globally, the next important thing you need is really a really secure consensus mechanism, such that you cannot do double spans and prevent any type of attack vectors. And then the second thing is you want it to be done in a very, very efficient manner from an energy and computational standpoint, such that you do not end up with the problems that Bitcoin has and the other proof of work architectures have. Mm-hmm. So with this in mind, we have basically made a really significant breakthrough, and not only put it on paper, but have moved forward. And the most exciting thing is that we have the testnet up and running right now, so everyone can just join, test the stuff. The code is open source, and we're very excited for feedback on all that.
Mm-hmm. That is exciting, and I'm glad you touched on the security there and the proof of stake. And Ethereum is looking at moving towards this proof of stake consensus as well. So when that happens, will the security be the same as Elrond, or will there be a difference?
I think there is a significant difference in terms of what we do. So we introduced secure proof of stake because of two specific things, like I mentioned. The first one was really obvious. And we didn't even count this, namely that you wanted to move away from the energy and computational problem that comes with all this proof of work architectures. The second major thing we focused on was security, because when you have this high performance, the most important thing you need is security. If you lose security, then everything you've built does not have any kind of worth, because you can do the double spends and attack the network, and this essentially doesn't work. So what we have done was to build a really robust security mechanism in the consensus by employing a random sampling of the consensus group, which means that for every 5 seconds, a new consensus group is randomly chosen. And then even if you would know this consensus group, you can only attack it for 5 seconds, after which a new consensus group is essentially again elected, and so forth. So in addition to this, we have added a further layer of security where at the end of each epoch, which currently is defined as 12 hours, you have 1/3 of the nodes in each shard randomly reshuffled into other shards. Again, to make sure that there is no possibility of collusion or attack in any shard, and to make sure that security is very, very robust in the Elrond architecture. Now, coupled with this, we have implemented BFT-like consensus mechanism, which makes sure that any transaction is processed extremely fast. So while in Bitcoin, you have an initial latency of, say, 10 minutes and a finality of, say, 60 minutes, in Elrond, you can process the transaction in 5 seconds, which is, when you think about it, this is how things should be. So we are trying to rebuild everything to bring them closer to what an architecture should look like if you want to use it in production.
Mm-hmm. That sounds significant. Now, how much time have you put into the development of Elrond so far? You mentioned that the testnet is out. What is the date announced for the mainnet launch?
So Elrond has been in development for more than 1.5 years. The team is made of several experienced entrepreneurs, researchers, and developers with PhDs in computer science, with experience at Microsoft, Google, NTT, Intel, and so forth. So we have a very, very experienced and hardworking team. And we've been working on this for a long time right now, but we are very, very excited to have launched the testnet after a long period of implementation and stress testing and so forth. So while with the initial testnet, we have already exceeded the targets we have put forth when we started Elrond. Right now, we are in a process of trying to exceed that by 10x or maybe even more. And we are targeting officially, we are targeting the mainnet launch sometime in Q4 this year, but internally things look a lot better. So we are aiming for a much more ambitious mainnet launch. The idea being that in 1 or 2 months, we should basically have everything we will have in the mainnet launch. The only difference being that we want to take 1 month or more than 1 month just to stress test the network, to make sure that bugs are ironed out, to make sure that everything is working as expected, and also take some time to organize some bug bounty campaigns and other stress testing periods in order to just build a much more solid and secure network. Because as I mentioned, we have the performance already, and I think this will change everything in the blockchain space, just as broadband speed has changed the internet from when it moved from dial-up to broadband. But right now we need to make sure that the security is there, and we just go through the stuff, iron the bugs out, and then launch everything.
Sounds very due diligent. Now, with the development, once the mainnet is out, and I believe the developers can start building maybe when the testnet is out as well, how easy have you made it to develop on Elrond, and how will you incentivize developers to develop on Elrond as opposed to Ethereum or a larger network?
Mm-hmm. So there's a few things to say here. First, people can already interact with the Elrond testnet, so they can become validators in the network, start earning rewards, and prepare for work they will be able to do in the mainnet. Second, we are indeed, I think, 1 or 2 weeks away of releasing the Elrond VM, which is the virtual machine on which Elrond runs the smart contracts. And we have put a lot of thought into this and have actually built a meta VM through which we can support several VMs at the same time, which means that we support Ethereum's smart contract languages like Solidity, so that any developer that has developed an application can very easily port this on Elrond and start leveraging this new and much more performant architecture. And then second, we are also making sure that we support 2 other VMs, which we think are very important, Yellow VM and WASP. So this all allows us not only to move in a direction where we allow developers to have really high flexibility, but we have, in addition to this, added formal verification to the smart contracts, again, in order to raise the standard for security. Formal verification, in short, means that you need, whenever you define a smart contract, in order to prevent bugs, especially when you work with tens of millions, hundreds of millions of dollars, you need to make sure that bugs do not kill your smart contracts and then cause you to lose the money. So in order to prevent this, we have added a further layer of security by allowing employing a language through which you can redefine your smart contracts in math, just to make sure that everything is happening according to what you wanted to happen, and you've not somehow missed some key elements and left some bugs in there.
Mm-hmm. That's great. That's great with the compatibility. Now, what is Elrond's direct needs right now? Are you guys looking for more developers, other team members, or investors?
So the most important things that have happened in the last, let's say, 2-3 weeks were that we have released the testnet, achieved the targets. Then we have closed a very significant funding round with some really key investors like Binance Labs, Electric Capital, Neo Global Capital, Autorito Ventures, Maven 11, and so forth. And the next important step for Elrond right now will be the Binance Launchpad listing, which will happen next year. So what this actually means is that we've done everything on our side to build the technology, and now we're focusing on the distribution side to bring it to the people that are interested in the technology and so forth. And I would also mention one thing. So in addition to the technology part, the blockchain architecture, which is very, very performant, we also have a cryptocurrency bound to the blockchain, just to make sure that people understand. So just as in Bitcoin, you have both the architecture and the token, the cryptocurrency bound to it. And in Ethereum, you have the same. In Elrond, you have the architecture and the token, the cryptocurrency as well. So what we are focusing right now is trying to bring as many node validators as possible to play with the nodes, to start running nodes. There's a step-by-step guide already published on docs.elrond.com. We have a very fast growing community in Telegram and so forth. And people are extremely excited for the next couple of weeks with the listing and so forth. But all the technical people can join, can see the information on docs.elrond.com and join a specific Riot channel where we can discuss all the technical stuff. They can start running the nodes, and hopefully very soon also start building on Elrond the decentralized apps they want.
That's very exciting. I'll post the links to that in the description box below. That's all the time that we have for this interview, but it's truly been a pleasure speaking with you, Beniamin. Sounds like Elrond has a lot going on right now, and I'm looking forward to following up with anticipation of the mainnet launch later this year.
Thanks a lot for the discussion. It's been great sharing this with you.